Welcome back, everybody, to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. I'm Lorenzo and sitting here with
Kevin Horde.
All right, my man, we are going to close this out now. We're going to close out Star Wars Resistance. We covered the series finale, and like we did with Season 1, we'll have this episode kind of looking back at Season 2 as a whole, and also the show as a whole, being that this is now the series finale. The show is done. Yep. We got into some of this last week, but we just wanted to save more of a deeper dive for this week. Kind of just fully diving into our full feelings on what we thought of the show. I don't think it'll be much of a surprise based on the last handful of reviews, but really just to kind of give a place to thoughts that didn't quite fit in with the episode that we reviewed last week. But yeah, man. Okay, so just starting with generic information again. So Star Wars Resistance, this is a show that aired on Disney XD and Disney Channel. The first episode aired October 7th, 2018, and then it ended on January 26th, 2020. So just 2 seasons. It only lasted 2 seasons. So yeah.
It only lasted 14 months.
Yeah. Like, just oddly quick. Should we start with just our feelings of season 2? We kind of covered this a little bit last week, but let's just dive into it again.
I was going to say I'll start with this.
Uh-huh.
So, season 1, you called mediocre.
Okay.
I called season 1 hopeful. So your 18-word review of season 2 is underwhelming, neutral, inconsequential, angering, confused, misplaced, soulless, hopeful, bad, nonsense, fine, 2 solids, unnecessary, muddled, serviceable, unenthusiastic, unsatisfying.
Oh, man.
My season 2 review was soft, building, forgettable, distracting, naive, sidestepping, homageable, invested, upsetting, silly, refreshing, engaging, proper, mutinous, fishy, overdue, misleading, underwhelming. I did want to share that your... I don't know why. Okay. So, season 2, episode 1, you called underwhelming, and that's how you started this season, and that's how I ended this season. So,
what's our thumbs up? Do you have percentages on our thumbs up, thumbs down for season 2?
I do. Do you want to hear overall, or do you want to hear season 1, season 2?
Yeah, just the percentages for season 1 as a whole, season 2 as a whole, if you have that information handy. I'm just curious.
I think that I do. So it looks like, as far as season 1 goes, okay.
Or even if it's a series as a whole, that's fine too. If it's just all,
it looks like as a whole, you scored this one a 44.74% with 17 thumbs up and 21 thumbs down.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a little bit better than I thought I would have done.
You got any guesses where I ended at?
I'm gonna say like a solid 70.
I actually
maybe
gave this 81.58 with 31 up, 7 down.
Yeah, okay.
I need to double check that to make sure all that math is correct. It looks like it's panning out.
I mean, it's even for me. I feel like maybe I was more. If in your quick overview, does it seem like there's a bigger trend of more thumbs up for season 1 from me? Maybe
you gave season 1 a 55%, and you gave season 2 a 33%.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Season 1 you were 11 up, 9 down. Season 2 you were 6 up, 12 down.
Okay.
I was pretty split. So season 1 got an 85%, with 17 up, 3 down for me. And season 2 got a 78% with 14 up, 4 down. So I was about the same as far as the numbers go.
Mm-hmm.
with whether or not I liked the episodes.
Okay.
I have moved away from is this good, is this bad, to do I like it, do I not like it?
I feel I think I've gone back and forth. I think I'll admit to being inconsistent, even though I think a big part of my attempt at reviewing with Clone Wars was always like some sort of consistency, but at some point just emotions take over. You know?
You definitely started more subjective, and I've always been more objective with it.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. But just really just verbiage for those up downs is what I've changed as opposed to this is bad. Like, okay, I don't like it.
Right.
It doesn't work for me for whatever reason. Yeah, so I was pretty close both seasons. You definitely took a downturn in season 2.
Oh man, did I? Yeah, for sure.
But if we were playing baseball, this this series would not be too bad in your eyes because you would be batting
that 44.
What? Yeah, 447. It's pretty good batting average.
Oh man. Here, let's start here. Let's start with this. I'll say this. For the most part, I do like these characters.
Okay.
I really wish I saw these characters in a story that benefited them.
Okay.
Right. That was more fitting of them.
Okay.
I do. Kaz, yes, is a little annoying in his bumbliness.
He does grow out of that.
He does.
Kind of. He grows out of it a lot, but and then more so when he's under stress, like those things kind of come through, but then he actually overcomes them as opposed to somebody correcting the situation for him.
Right. But like at his best, I there is a good character there, and it would be a lot stronger if we could get a story crafted around him and Yeager and Tam and Doza,
Yep.
that benefited them, right? I will say, however, that by the end of the series, Niku did not win me over at all. At all. I just could not stand Niku.
Okay, I'm glad you brought Niku up.
Mm-hmm.
Niku was my favorite character season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked him throughout season 2. Somewhere towards the end, like last 4 or 5 episodes, something like that, he just kind of trailed off into, and I think my opinion of him in those 4 episodes is kind of your opinion of him overall, where the jokes that they were trying to do with him weren't landing, and it was just kind of like an auxiliary character that was just kind of like, okay, like he's here.
Yeah, he got devolved into a red shirt almost, especially in the finale. He definitely got like super red shirt, where he is just like, oh, hey, like we got a message from Kaz. That's all I can do now. Just wait for messages to come in, right? So I agree. Like, even though I didn't like him, I will admit for episodes where he was front and center, he served some purpose. There, they at least kind of put some effort. And in the last couple episodes, he just got pushed to the sidelines so bad.
Yeah, especially in the finale itself, he just came off as silly. Like, not Niku is silly, but like the character of Niku was...
The character and like his actions.
The character itself was silly.
Completely, yeah.
Like we could take this silly character out and everything would be the same. As opposed to like an enjoyable goofiness.
Yeah. Like there was nothing he was doing or his humor that was kind of helping or acting as a decent comic relief, And I
agreed.
And I understand who this audience or the intended audience of the show is. Like I get it.
It's me.
Right.
No.
But there's a way to strike this tone that isn't so sort of just, I don't know. This isn't the right term, but it's just like insulting is the only term I can think of. Like it's just looking down at a certain age group. Like, oh, this is the only humor that they're gonna get. This is the only kind of humor they are gonna appreciate. You know, let's go as broad and as slapsticky as possible. You know,
I don't really feel that because it's not all like fart jokes and fall down jokes. I mean, Kaz definitely has a lot of fall down physical comedy,
especially in season 1. Yeah, I will
especially
say
in season 1.
they grew out of that a little bit. You know, we didn't get too much of that in season 2, and I'm thankful for that.
I think it's a little more nuanced than that. Having a small child, I do see a lot of things that are geared towards super younger age kids, right?
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like there's a way to entertain younger audiences without having to resort to this sort of broad style of jokes where like Niku is like self-referential in his joking, right? So like even if not going slapsticky or whatever, it's his broad sort of over explanation of things that is most almost, and I've made this comparison before, but it's very Jar Jar like to me. You know,
Okay.
that style of, oh, look at us, we are laughing, and aren't we having a great time? This is how I express emotion. I have to say it out loud.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they do not exist.
Yeah, that totally sat fine with me.
No, it did not with me.
But in
And it's
the
weird.
end, he just kind of petered out to as if the authors of this story didn't know what to do with him.
Yes.
And ran out of ways to keep him interesting, right? So, loved him in the beginning, and he kind of dried up in the end for me.
Yeah.
Let's move on from him to Tam. Let's talk about her briefly, and then we'll talk about Yeager briefly, and then we can just talk about this thing as a whole.
What do you got in Tam?
I think she's completely underutilized. I think
she's a non-character for me. Like,
she didn't even appear in like half of the episodes of season 2.
no.
And then she's thrown in there as like the balance point of which direction the story was going.
She's supposed to be like the emotional linchpin of this show, you know.
Right.
But it falls flat because we never follow up on her, and every time we do, it's like the most single note plot thread you could throw at a character, you know. Like she just having a character talk about how conflicted they are doesn't make a character conflicted.
Right.
Right? So and like she doesn't do anything that leads me to believe that she herself is having regrets. Okay, she could have regrets about her choice of joining the First Order. But then anything beyond that, she doesn't do anything in the First Order that I feel like would make her regretful. So we discussed this a little bit last week where I had a mismemory of Finn firing on villagers.
Right.
But I need something like that. At least Finn was there. At least Finn was given an order to like kill villagers, right?
Yeah.
But is Tam ever put in a position where she has to kill an innocent? Or
I mean, she's definitely in a TIE fighter with Ruckland in the back, and they do fly some missions where she is firing, right? I don't remember the specific situations.
Because I don't remember that. Because like I definitely like the I mean, just from last week's episode when they're just watching the Star Destroyers mess up Eos Prime. But she's just on the ship. She's not pulling a trigger. She's not making that call.
Well, I mean, she does. Doesn't she capture Doze's wife?
Oh yeah, yeah, she does.
There's something to do with Doze's wife and her.
Whose name I don't even remember because she
I don't-
only shows up for like the last handful of episodes.
It's Vanessa.
Vanessa.
So Vanessa's in jail. I'm just looking at episode titles, and this is what's coming to me.
I do
Vanessa
remember
is
her,
in
yeah.
jail, and Tam goes to visit her. I don't think she's directly involved in like the capture of Vanessa.
Right. But again, she just knows she's captured. Like I don't. There's nothing there. There's nothing there to this character.
Yeah, like I said, underutilized.
Yeah.
I
Flicks
think
and
there
Orco's
could
where
have
it's
been
at.
an
That's all I
idea.
got.
I
Flicks
think
and
there.
Orco's where. This is all I got, man.
I can't disagree with you. I
I
don't
just
know.
need way more Flicks and Orca. Like,
We got Yeager and Doza, and that's like good dad, bad dad, and then in the end, and then okay,
which is fine, except again, we introduce Yeager's brother, who gets a mention,
later on, and that's it.
and that's it. Like a brief mention in one of the last handful of episodes, but I don't remember which.
The last
one.
episode.
It was the last episode. Okay.
Yeah, it's when they're sitting on that race ring, and
Oh right, yeah.
and Yeager's like, yeah, Tam reminds me of my brother.
My brother.
Blah blah
Marcus.
blah blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah.
Right.
But my point was like they start as good dad, bad dad, and then they both turn into the like barrier to Kaz doing whatever the episode requires Kaz to do,
Yeah.
and they're just kind of non-existent for a while.
Right.
And then they come back in, and then Yeager is supportive again, and Doza is doubtful. And then that's kind of the end of it. But that also leads me to Kaz's actual parents, who we do hear from Kaz's father
Yep.
a couple of times, right? Like,
Well,
in
we
the
see him in the
recruit,
first
and then-
episode.
Yep. And then another time at the
And then we
beginning
eventually
of...
do see his face at the beginning of season 2.
Yeah, and he's like,
And that's
you fucked up. You unleashed bounty hunters on your whole family, and all this shit is, I'm going to blame on you. Never come back to that. Like,
Right.
what happened to his dad? We thought that his parents died on Hosnian Prime.
Right.
Turns out that didn't happen.
And the story would have been none the different if they did die there.
That's why I'm telling you that this was not the original plan. Something happened somewhere in production, and they're like,
I'm not gonna lie.
we're wrapping this up. And I don't
have
know
no
if you want
evidence.
to call that the show being canceled,
I
or
think the show is just canceled. I don't know. I don't have any information on ratings on this show. You know,
yeah,
so I don't know. Maybe I just think the show just didn't make the splash that it wanted it to. You know, and rather than have another Clone Wars situation, like everybody just gracefully, like publicly announced, like, hey, this is the last season. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't put any other qualifiers on that. They didn't say cancel. They just went, hey, this is the last season. You
I
know?
think there was info out there that stated like, no, it wasn't canceled. Like, this is a planned exit. This was the plan in quotations. I could be wrong there, but that's my memory, and that's why, like, when fucking Dave Filoni was talking about this at Celebration, or, you know, when he was wherever that quote comes from, that was like, oh, like, season 2, this shit's gonna be good, and like it ties directly into the Rise of Skywalker, like, that was all a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
And we can tell that now because we've seen all the episodes. We've seen Rise of Skywalker. Like, there's so many if that were true, there's so many things that they could have done.
Oh, they wasted so much time, dude. Yeah, we've.
This season, this series, absolutely coincides with The Last Jedi, right?
Yes.
And essentially the promise is that like season 2 is going to do that with the Rise of Skywalker,
Or it would have
and
led up to the Rise of Skywalker, you know.
right, and those events could have happened in different worlds, different realities, different franchises, and you wouldn't know the difference.
No, not at all. Like there, I think I complained about this in one of the not second, maybe the third to last episode where Kaz was trying to leave, right? And there's like the name drop of Batu.
Yeah, that was rebuilding the Resistance. So,
and we know what's happening right before or sometime before Rise of Skywalker around Batu. You know, this is canonical information that's out there. It's mentioned in a visual dictionary,
right?
Because apparently that's the only fucking place we can get random Star Wars information anymore is these goddamn visual dictionaries. You know,
Pablo Hidalgo needs something to do.
Yeah. Or it's like the novelization of things that's trying to clearly fix shit that's wrong with other things. So, God willing, we get a whole novelization of Star Wars Resistance that fixes everything. But
I don't think I want that. Generally, I am a fan of reading the novelizations, especially of the movies. Right? I'm a little behind on that.
You don't want like a long, like maybe like a long form comic version of Star Wars Resistance that kind of fixes these arcs a little bit by a lot.
I don't even know, man.
So
even like a graphic novel, like I don't think the punches landed, especially on season 2, and I don't think that would be more enjoyable than the version that we've had. And I want to make it clear, there's a lot of these episodes that I like. There's a lot of the stuff within Star Wars Resistance that I like. Unfortunately, as a whole, when I look back at it, I think this is what I was told was going to happen, but we got this thing instead. And some of this stuff is fun, and I like some of this, but it's not what I was told was coming to me. You know, it's like ordering a cheeseburger. It's not even that. Go ahead.
For me, it's not even that. It's even with the expectations aside. Even expectations aside, the show itself just disappoints me. You know, so okay, I know that we started this conversation about its connections to the greater universe and all that. But even that aside. Mm-hmm. The show itself, on its own merits, is just so disappointing, based on what the show itself tries to set up. All right.
So I'm going to go down this path with you.
Okay.
And for me, season 1 worked well. Mm-hmm. When we got to the end of season 1, it was like, oh shit! Like we met these characters, they went through this stuff. They're on the fucking run, but they escaped for now. Mm-hmm. Season 2.
I agree with you there.
It was a bunch of, it was this group of people accomplishing this task. Like, obstacle, task, conclusion. Obstacle, task, conclusion. Mm-hmm. Obstacle, task, conclusion.
Yeah.
And we get that repeated. And then at the end of it, it's like, oh yeah, we had this other stuff going on. Like, let's talk about that. And it's over.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I agree with you completely. Like, I will say, yeah, to some degree, season 1 as a self-contained unit did work. Like, yes, there are a few episodes in there that are just nonsense, right?
Right.
But I agree with you. By the end of season 1, it left me in a place where I was like, okay, maybe we can turn this around. Maybe there is a single mission here that we can focus on and get one strong arc for season 2. And then it immediately throws away that goodwill. It immediately drops that.
Yeah.
Like it totally turns it around. And just week after week is nonsense. It's just inconsequential viewing. you know.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think there was a point in season 2 where, because, okay, I feel like you gave up on the show, like your interest gave up on the show, and you did watch it so that we could do these things, but I know that there was a point where you're like, I don't care. Like, if we weren't doing the show, I wouldn't be watching it.
Yes, I did say pretty much exactly that. Yeah.
Right. Was that season 1 that happened? Season 2?
I will say, okay, I think season 1, my interest waned.
Okay.
Right. But I wasn't like fully giving up. It was more of like there's other stuff I kind of need to watch or want to watch first. You know, that's kind of taking up my time. But Resistance is still like in the back burner, right?
Right.
And then definitely by season 2, maybe like just 3, 4, 5 episodes into it, that's when I'm pretty sure I could definitively say that, like, if I never saw another episode of the show, I would not think about it whatsoever.
Yeah, for me, the downturn on season 2, because season 1 I'm on board, right? Mm-hmm. Season 2, we get to the Vox Vortex 5000. If you remember that episode, that's where Hype convinces Doza to take the Aces to some fucking casino run by a hut and bet everything for credits.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I remember that episode.
At that point, I'm like, okay, this is not going to go, and this is going to continue veering off course from the direction that I would like it to go. So for me, that was the point.
Again, it's not even like okay. I think was it last week or was it earlier this episode? It's all melding together in my head already. Where I admit my judging stances have been inconsistent. Where like I'll either try and be objective or my emotions will take over, and I'm just insanely subjective, and I'll admit that. But the end of season 1 and the start of season 2 promised me that the Colossus is on the run.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts that tension by having them visit a casino to join random races to win money.
Yeah.
You know, like, so again, it's like not even an expectation thing. It's the show set this up and then immediately throws that away. Right?
Yeah, they often deflate their own balloon.
Yes. So my expectations are a part of this. I admit I had a lot of expectations for, again, I mentioned this last week, a show called Star Wars Resistance that could have done so many things and checked so many boxes, and instead decided to go off in this very side thing that nobody asked for.
There was not a lot of resisting going on.
Nope.
So our objective here is not to rewrite these things and say, oh, this is what should have been done and this would make this better and blah, 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 blah. My overall feeling is that season 2 let down season 1.
Yeah.
You know, if they were best friends, season 2 would have let down season 1. And I know there's rumors out there of a future animated show. Do you think that this suffered from whatever is coming in the future?
No. I don't know. It's not like Lucasfilm is hurting for resources.
Okay.
Per se. Like, it's not that they can't do multiple shows at once, you know?
Okay.
Like, Star Wars Resistance and the Clone Wars could have coexisted. And whatever third animated show, you know?
Right.
That would have been fine, right?
Because I get the feeling like... So, Dave Filoni's name was attached to this. He's the executive producer, right? and he's like the series creator. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he had more creative input earlier in the show, and then almost like he went to work on other things, and this one just kind of slowly unraveled a little bit.
Well, look,
I
here's
have
the
no
thing.
proof of that. That's just
Right.
the feeling that
That's
I
like your
get based on
speculation.
seeing other things that he has done and the way that this show started and the end that it came to.
Well, look, because, like, with the way media can work, a creator can, by the end of the show or anything, can still have next to no ownership of a project. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, like, maybe he came up with this idea, but then it's up to whoever is the series producer to then run that show. If it's not Filoni, that's fine. It doesn't have to be Filoni. There are other talented people out there, you know?
Right.
And Lucasfilm can surely find them. And that's not to say that the actual creatives that were connected to this aren't. You know, I'm just saying specifically that the show was not my favorite thing to watch, but I'm just saying the people that were in charge seem to have lost their way and been confused about what they wanted to do. There was no focus here.
Right.
You know, whether that be the various executive producers, actual supervising producers, supervising directors, the other producers. I don't know if it's higher ups at Lucasfilm. I don't know. You know, I agree. Like, we have no evidence. We're just kind of speculating between you and myself here. But all I can tell is that the final product is a mess. Like, it's a mess. It's just, there is no cohesion here. When you have an episode where they're on the run, but they're going to return to a planet that they already visited to kill a creature for food, and this is the episode you want to show me? Or 5 episodes before the end, 4 episodes before the end, you're going to have a random pirate mutiny because I cared so much about these pirates?
Right.
And then that in no way affects anything that comes afterwards. Which, speaking of, I forgot, jumping back real quick to the finale, where the fuck were those robots?
I was about to say that exact thing. You bringing up the mutiny reminded me that last week I wanted to ask you, where the fuck are the battle droids?
Where the fuck were the battle droids? Like, why did they not come back? Like, what? See, again, it's like,
at least that would have legitimized the mutiny and like the need to get these battle droids so that they're there to defend the Colossus at the end of this thing.
Like, oh my god, what? Like, it honestly would have been pretty cool to see stormtroopers versus battle droids. Like,
that would have been pretty nice,
right? Wouldn't that have been awesome? But
and Niku would have been like in control of these things. He would have been like the commander of this droid army.
But again,
fighting against. Yeah,
the writers themselves seem to have forgotten their own shit. You know, there's no cohesion. There's no. It's like they were writing on the fly. They probably were.
I don't feel like they were writing on the fly. I feel like all this stuff was done in like isolation from the thing that came before it.
Right.
Like I don't feel like there was somebody that took control of this. Okay. I feel like there was somebody in control. And I don't know if their job description changed or if somebody else wanted to step up or something. Somewhere along the line, the overall control of this thing shifted and it became less an overarching story and more individualized things. And it just...
But that's a regression. Yeah, it's a bad regression.
Right.
When you start the show off with Oscar Isaac reprising his role as Poe, sending this dude off to a mission, and then he comes back every now and then, Oscar Isaac himself, to like reprise this role, and then by season 2 we just never hear from him again, ever. Like, there's no extra missions from Poe on a show called Star Wars Resistance. Like, there's
the reasoning for that. It's because at the end of season 1, he tells Kaz, "Hey, I just talked to Leia. I gotta go do this thing on Jakku." Like, so he goes to Jakku, and then he's tied up with all the events of The Force Awakens, and he's tied up with The Last Jedi. Like, that's where he's at. That's what he's doing.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with like separating him from what's going on.
But then in season 2, there's like a full year of not Jakku and Crate.
Is it a year though? We have no fucking idea, because even like the official sources are like 34, 35,
right?
ABY. I don't know. Except for the last episode, definitely is 35 ABY, quote unquote. There.
But still, again, so then it's just, I don't know, just anything else could have been fine. Like, just, there's no, I just don't understand.
It's confusing.
Like,
the longer I watched this show, the more confused I became. I will say I just figured out where the battle droids are.
Where are they? What?
So Matthew Wood does the voice of the battle droids and did the voice of Kylo Ren. So obviously he could only do the Kylo Ren, and he couldn't do the battle droids, so they had to cut him out of the episode.
I think if I remember correctly, he is credited for like other voices in that episode. Actually,
he in the Escape.
Yeah,
he's Kylo Ren, and he is Stormtrooper number 1.
Stormtrooper 1, so weird.
Yeah. Stormtrooper number 1.
Yeah, man. I don't look. It's bad too, because like, again, I really do like the cast that they got. Christopher Sean was great. Donald Faison, love me some Donald Faison, and again, Bobby Moynihan is one of my all-time favorite SNL cast members.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but I actually met him last year at Disneyland.
Oh, nice.
And told him as such, because he was there promoting DuckTales.
Okay.
Actually, he was there for a Disney event. So I saw him on a panel where the whole cast, including David Tennant, another favorite actor of mine,
right?
They all read out a whole episode script live in front of us, and then I got to do a meet and greet with them, and I got all their signatures. And with Bobby Moynihan, so like they're each 2 to a table, so there are 6 of them. And I told Bobby Moynihan, I was like, "Bro, you're one of my favorite SNL cast members. I just have to let you know that." And he was very pleasant, and he was sitting with what's his name? He's sitting with the guy who's the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog now.
Okay.
Ben. Again, names are like out of my brain right now. But side tangent story. So, the 2 of them are sitting there together, and I was like, "Yo, your favorite SNL member, and you play one of my all-time favorite SNL characters." And he goes, "Oh, that's nice. Like who?" And I go, "Riblet." And he goes, "What? That one?" I'm like, "Yeah, Riblet's one of my all-time favorite characters because it's so freaking hilarious." And he goes, "Yeah." And the guy who was sitting with him, Ben, what's his name?
I got nothing. Did you do the voice in the movie?
Yeah, he did the voice in the movie.
Okay. I'll look it up that way.
Ben Schwartz. Got it.
Yep.
He was sitting with Ben Schwartz, and who I also like Ben Schwartz from Parks and Rec, but just love Bobby Moynihan. So Ben Schwartz asked Bobby Moynihan and was like, "Wait, who's Riblet? I've never heard of Riblet." And Bobby Moynihan goes, "Oh yeah, he was my Weekend Update character. He was my big fuck you to Lauren." And then Ben is like, "Hey, Bobby, there's a camera pointed right at you, and we're in Disneyland." And then Bobby goes, "Oh no!" Well,
that's hilarious.
But then I was like, "Wait, okay, explain though. What?" And then Bobby Moynihan told me the story, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I asked Lauren after Seth Meyers left. Bobby Moynihan wanted to be anchor on Weekend Update, but Lauren just told him straight up no. So then he created the character a Riblet to appear on Weekend Update, and the whole gist of the character was like, "Yo, I can do this job," and he does.
Gotcha.
So, anyways, that's my long story of meeting Bobby Moynihan last year.
Yeah, that's your long story of not bringing up Star Wars Resistance to Bobby Moynihan when you met him.
Well, this show hadn't aired yet when I met him, so.
Well, this is 2020, and that would have been in 2019.
No, then I met him 2018. Then I met him 2018. Sorry. I met him in May of 2018.
Gotcha.
So it was a long time ago now. Yeah. Again, dates have no meaning anymore.
Yeah, I wonder if the casting was even out at that point. I couldn't tell you.
I think maybe the top cast, but I don't think we knew Bobby Moynihan and Jim Rash were in the show. That's for sure. I didn't, because I remember watching. It's the pilot Flick Sonorica show up, right? And I'm like, that's definitely Bobby Moynihan, and that's definitely Jim Rash. They have very distinctive voices.
Yeah, the trailer didn't come out until August of 2018.
Yeah, that's late. That's late in the game.
Yeah, it's only like 2 months before the show started. So,
right, because like any earlier than that, we're basically still coming off of Rebels, right?
Yeah,
because like it would have been Celebration 2017. You and I met, and that's the celebration where they straight up announced that Rebels was ending. Still, right?
Yes, and that was, you also saw the first episode or first 2 episodes of Resistance, like that following day, right?
No, not there. Not in 2017. I think 2017 was all Rebels. There was nothing Resistance related in Orlando.
Was that 2018 then?
2019. That was
2019.
That was Chicago. I saw the first episode of season 2, and then they announced there that was the last season.
Right.
So I got to see Filoni announce that Rebels was ending, and then got to see that Resistance was announced to be ending.
So the next time there is an animated series, you're not allowed to go to the Dave Filoni panel about that series.
Right.
So I'll just put it that way.
Which is funny because I didn't go to the Clone Wars panel at Comic-Con. I was in another panel, and then that's when he announced that Clone Wars was coming back.
That's what I'm saying.
So
see,
I'm just not allowed to go to any Filoni panels because all the good things happen during those panels when I'm not there, and all the bad things happen when I'm there. So
I have talked to Dave Filoni twice personally.
Very nice.
And he was a very nice fellow.
I have seen him shopping around at Disneyland. I didn't interact with him. I just I at Disneyland I'm usually pretty good about leaving people be. You know?
Yeah.
I'm just like, nah, they're trying to have.
This was a Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, your context. Yeah, that makes sense. Like,
so
it's mildly expected there.
Yeah.
Disneyland, I'll leave them be.
Anyways. Let's pull this back to Resistance. I would say season 1, generally I was positive. Season 2, the numbers say that I was positive, although I feel less positive.
I think it's because the end. Like a movie is there's a saying where like a movie is as strong as its ending, right?
Yeah.
And this finale, man, this series finale, just like it's both closed. Like the story itself is closed off, and yet I feel like nothing was resolved. Right? Like there's nothing on the show that feels resolved to me.
Yeah. Here's the way I'll sum up my experience with season 2. There are individual parts that I like.
Yes.
Some of those individual parts I like a lot. As a whole, putting those parts together, it did not make it better. Like it's this thing is not. What's the saying? Like the sum is not equal to, or the whole is not equal to the sum of the parts.
Right. Yeah.
That's the way I feel about season 2. And for me, unfortunately, season 2 kind of drags down the series as a whole.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. For sure.
if I had to do a one-word review of this entire series, it would be mediocre, right? Probably mediocre at best. Like, it's fine. I think I'll just go with fine. It's fine. You know, if somebody was like, "Hey, how's Resistance?" I'd be like, "It's fine."
Yeah, you're kinder than I am still. Like, because okay, so looking at it from a different way, I think if
Sure.
there's Star Wars, like, look, there's so much Star Wars content right now, and beyond just the films, right? Like, books and comics and TV shows.
Yep.
And not everybody is required to watch all of that, right? Like, I am not one of those fans that's like, I hate the gatekeeping of certain fans, right? Like,
Right.
oh, like, how have you not seen this show? Like, I don't want to listen to your opinion on how the Force works if you haven't seen that.
You didn't watch The Mandalorian?
Right. Like, oh, like, you can't have an opinion if you don't know about son and daughter and father. Like,
Right.
I've had that conversation with people, and I'm like,
Right.
no, that's not required viewing to be a fan of Star Wars or
Just
have
because I didn't watch the Mortis arc.
Yeah.
Thank you.
to have like a no. You can have your own understanding of the Force without having to dive that deep into this shit, right? That said, if a Star Wars fan was like, "Oh, I haven't watched Star Wars Resistance. Should I watch it?" My answer would just be no.
Wow.
Just no. Yeah. So, my one word review would just be it's unnecessary.
Okay. I thought you were going to call it passable.
Nope.
Like, not it is
A passable show. Like, you
Right,
can pass
but-
over it.
pass upable.
Pass upable, yeah. No, like, it's unnecessary. This story did not justify itself. There's nothing here that gave me a reason to need to have seen any of this. There's and I don't even mean as like a supplement to Star Wars. That's not what I'm getting at either. Because I have other friends that I talk to who are like, "Oh, is that story worth reading? Like, does it change your view of Star Wars?" I'm like, "No, none of this supplemental stuff is meant to do that." You know,
Right.
Some of it can do that. Some of it can give you a better understanding of how this works. The Mortis arc can do that, right?
Right.
But I don't read this stuff to like get that like life-changing view of the Star Wars universe, right? These things don't have to do that.
More power to you if you get that out of
Right. So
individualized Star Wars content.
But what I'm trying to make clear here is that is not a prerequisite for any of these books or comics or, just EU in general, right?
Right.
But even on its own terms, this show, for where it starts to where it ends, just does not justify itself.
Okay.
It does not give me any through line that by the end led me to a good conclusion that had me feeling good about the adventure I had been on, right? Like, because this goes with any television show, Star Wars or not, right? Like, do I feel like my time with these characters or with this story or with these people,
is well spent.
Yeah, was it well spent? And with this, by the time we get to the end, it's just a strong no.
So I'm gonna guess that overall, you give this a thumbs down.
Oh, this is a strong thumbs down. Yeah.
So here is where I struggle. Because numbers say that I give this a thumbs up, right?
Right.
31/7. That's a pretty strong positive review. But my gut tells me that I would not necessarily recommend this to someone. I would totally recommend the show to specific people. In general, if I met some guy in line at a Star Wars convention and we're sitting on the floor overnight talking about Star Wars cartoons, Clone Wars is going to be the one that I would recommend to that person.
Right.
When they're telling me, hey, you got to watch Rebels, I would say, hey, you got to watch Clone Wars. And I don't think this would come up in
I think
that
that's literally
conversation.
what our first conversation was.
That's exactly what it was. And this is, I'm calling back to that. Like, if we were to repeat that, I would probably argue for season 1 in a positive note. Season 2, I think I would just not participate in that conversation. Right? We have talked about this show for what will be almost 40 hours, 39 hours ish.
Yeah.
Okay. There is 14 and a half hours ish worth of content
Of like actual show.
So obviously we have taken the time to talk about it, right? And I feel really bad saying that I think overall I give Star Wars Resistance a thumbs down, and that kind of makes me sad.
Right.
Down the line, will I watch this again? Probably.
Really?
Am I going to? Yeah. Am I going to
Really?
rush? Am I going to rush and do that? No.
Like, I didn't even give the Clone Wars a rewatch.
Right.
Like, I would not ever think about revisiting the show. Like, ever.
I will probably do that at some point in time.
Oh,
it's
man.
not high on my priority list.
Right.
I will argue for the fun things and positive things that came out of this series, and I will essentially ignore the rest. And
I wouldn't even know where to start with trying to find, like, at least, okay, this is at least what worked with the episodic storytelling of Clone Wars, is that at least those episodes, you know, even including like the multi-episode arcs, if you take the arcs, perhaps maybe not just the individual episodes, at least those were self-contained, right? Like, I could give my buddy who has not seen Clone Wars as a whole, like, I'll just give him like arcs to watch, like, oh, watch like these episodes, like, here's a list of episodes. But like, because Star Wars Resistance is trying to play it both ways, right?
Yep.
Where it wants these episodic adventures, but it's trying to build towards something bigger, but like, doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even know where to start with that, you know?
Yeah. And through that lens, I totally agree with you.
Like, here's the other thing too. So like, even moving past that, so through your sort of description of, you know, would you watch this again? That's one thing that I think that's one good way of looking at it. But I also think, like, if there is a Star Wars celebration this year, you know, there's supposed to be one in August.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, there's okay. So there's supposed to be one in August. You know, I have tickets and everything to it. There might be tickets available if it's still on. By the way, Kevin.
Yeah.
They might have, a lot of tickets might have been returned. You might be able to get a full, you know, pass thing for us. So, you know, I have an office you can stay in. But do you see anybody, say, cosplaying or, you know, making
Absolutely.
reference to do you?
Yeah.
Do you
Totally.
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
100%.
Oh, no. I think between Rebels and Clone Wars and everything else, I think that's all taken up, you know?
Nope. 100%.
No, it would be like, okay, we would see it, but it'd be like such a small percentage of people. I'm so curious.
I'm not saying that there's going to be
like a lot of it, like
a lot, you know,
right?
A high saturation point of it.
Yeah.
But some Von Regs, some Pyres, some fucking Kazudas, absolutely.
Like, I could see Kaz, and I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so here's my other great disappointment.
I can see Torah.
Maybe. Okay, here's my thing with Kaz, and now this is definitely a very subjective, personal thing.
Okay.
I was really excited that it was both an Asian actor and an Asian lead, right?
Yeah.
And I was so down for that. That I would cosplay as Kaz just on that level, right?
There you go.
Just like because of the representation of that, and like that's something we very much need right now as
Right.
somebody of Asian heritage, Southeast Asian heritage, right?
Uh-huh.
All the same, I wouldn't really like. I would still cosplay as like Russell from Up at a Star Wars convention just because I have that, right?
Right.
Before I put in the effort of trying to find this Kaz jacket, like, and going for that, I just because the character in no way landed with me the way.
The way he lands on his face all the time.
Yeah, the way he lands on his face, or like the way even like Churrit, lands on me. Even though I know next to nothing about Churrit,
I fucking love Chirrut. He is one of my favorite Star Wars characters.
I love Churrit. More than Baze for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love Churrit. But no way in hell would I be going through a convention with contacts that blur my vision. So,
yeah, that would be tough.
I think we've had that discussion off air before. Yeah, that I've always wanted to cosplay as Churrit, but I would never fully dedicate to wearing the contacts.
Just paint your eyeballs.
No, as somebody who got LASIK to not ever have to wear contacts ever again, I don't want to do it voluntarily. So
yeah, so I'm gonna pull you back to Resistance again.
Yes. Yeah.
It may be more fun to veer off and talk about other things, but to get back to my thumbs up, thumbs down, I think overall I'm giving this one a thumbs down, even though the numbers would say otherwise. I don't think that I think it's season 2 that brings it down under that bar.
I'm gonna try and argue your reason for you again with a little sidestep again.
Sure.
Seasons 1 through 6 of Game of Thrones might be some of the best television ever made.
Okay.
Right? 7's fine. 7's messy. Has its problems.
Okay.
Season 8 is so abysmal. It's some of the worst things put on screen. And that is a bit of hyperbole, but one more quick side tangent. Gene Siskel, when he had no good thing to say about a movie, would say, at least I could see the characters, or I could see the actors. The actors were lit. There are certain scenes of Game of Thrones Season 8 that are lit so poorly that you can't see shit.
Okay.
And because Season 8 is so bad, and because there are things set up from Seasons 1 through 6 that never get referenced again in Season 8 that go nowhere.
Okay.
Seasons 1 through 6 then become unwatchable. Like, unwatchable, because you then start seeing stuff that is set up that you then know goes nowhere.
I gotcha.
Has no consequence at all. And I think what you're feeling is that now that you know where it goes and that there is no resolution for so much shit that is set up throughout just 2 seasons, right?
Yeah.
That, yes, on an individual basis, the episodes are enjoyable. You can watch these episodes one by one, right?
Right.
But then if you were to sit there and start from season 1 again, I think you'll have another different view where you start seeing the shit that they're setting up, like Ayla's weird force vision, that your head is gonna hurt trying to think about why they even put that in there. Because
I feel like I would need to watch this in like 3-hour chunks and bust it out in like 4 days.
Right.
5 days.
But I again think that it's your thumbs down is justifiable against the fact that you have had more thumbs up throughout the show because it biffs the landing.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. If we were just judging season 1, I'd give this a thumbs up, but just the way that things went from the end of that to the way that the the series actually ended.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there are good parts. There are things that I liked. There are episodes that I liked. And at the end, we just kind of get okay, well, it's over. Let's go about our lives now.
Well, like it cuts to black at like almost like in a weird Sopranos fashion where I'm like, no, there should be a little bit more here.
Yeah.
Like, did the Colossus find a planet to settle on, or like what?
No, they eventually went to Exegol. Like,
is that an issue?
The Colossus is at the Battle of Exegol.
Like, do they help out in Batu? I don't like what's going on.
Yeah. They literally this show ends on, instead of lost the battle, didn't win the war, they end on won the battle.
War in
gives
question.
A shit about the war.
Yeah, war in war question mark. So yeah, it's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating to me. That's another good one-word review. It's frustrating, but I stick by unnecessary. Like none of this is necessary viewing whatsoever. And I feel again. I feel bad. All the actors involved, I really like. The characters, for most degree, I really like the qualities of the characters. Yeager is like an awesome fatherly figure on the show. You know, that's great.
He does depart from that a little bit and comes back.
Right.
But yeah, overall, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Characters, thumbs up.
Like animation, technical side,
thumbs up.
And I did look it up. It's Polygon Pictures that's in charge of the animation. So Polygon Pictures, and they were in charge of Knights of Sidonia on Netflix. That's what I binged that real quick one weekend, it's that Netflix model where like I binge it in a weekend and it like leaves my brain. That's why last week I could not remember the name of that darn show.
Right.
But yeah, so the animation is great. All of that's great. It's just the writing, man. So here's the next question, and maybe because I haven't started. I've only watched one episode of season 7 of Clone Wars.
Okay.
And are you on? We haven't discussed this, but are you on top of that one or no?
Yeah, I am current on that, and I would like to save all of my comments for.
No. So this is not a review of that, but
yeah.
My question is, okay, so another way to look at the legacy of Resistance is, does this sour you towards what's coming next? And then the only reason I brought up Clone Wars is like, I don't know how to count that, you know?
Right.
That's kind of like a side project as well, alongside
because it's both in the past and in the future as
right.
far as the show goes.
Right.
Yeah. No, it does not. This does not sour me, as you said. Like when a new animated show is announced, this will not have any reflection on my opinion of what that will be.
Mm-hmm. See, like, I'm just sitting at this weird place, and this is a very broad discussion, but like Star Wars, I think I brought this up before Rise of Skywalker came out, and I'm just remembering it now. But like my opinion on Star Wars as a whole, I will always love it. I have a tattoo of it.
Right.
So like, obviously there's a love there that will never die. But my fervor for it kind of died a little bit as we were reviewing, when we were more on top of reviewing these episodes as they were coming out.
Right.
I think I mentioned something like, look, Mandalorian's the only thing giving me hope right now.
Yeah.
In terms of like just enjoying Star Wars, it's the only thing letting me enjoy Star Wars, right? So like I'm in this weird conundrum, or I don't know if conundrum is the right word, but I'm just like in this weird confused state right now where like Resistance and Rise of Skywalker really let me down, right? Like they just put a bad taste in my mouth, right?
Right.
But then we have a show like Mandalorian, which I didn't love like everybody else did per se, but it still kind of brought me those good feelings of Star Wars. You know,
I thought, I will. I feel like we're going to talk about the Mandalorian.
We'll get
some
to
point
that.
down
Yeah,
the road.
like more detailed review of that will come later. I'm sure. We're gonna be in self isolation for a while, I think.
Yeah, here's one of the things that I liked about the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, who is only a casual Star Wars fan,
Mm-hmm.
like, it was exciting when new episodes came out.
Right.
Because we both wanted to, like, get home from work and sit down and watch them together.
Right.
And she was like, I like this show.
Yeah. And that's huge. That's a huge step for
And
like
that's super cool.
yeah, like as you put it, a lot of casual viewers went for Mandalorian where they would not go for a Rebels or Resistance, right?
Uh-huh.
And I do find that interesting. I feel like there is like a show somewhere in there that could straddle that line really well. Like I think Clone Wars did that generally for a lot of parents per se. You know,
Maybe for parents, but
like casual Star Wars parents would show Clone Wars to their kids and be like, "Oh, look, it's a Star Wars thing." Does that make sense?
yeah.
But I forgot where my point was. But anyways,
I don't know.
I'm just like, oh yeah. So like looking forward, I honestly don't know how I would feel about whatever's coming next. Mainly because, okay, we have a general idea of what's coming next, you know?
We definitely have rumors.
Well, no, there's the confirmation of High Republic, or the era, at least.
Oh, I thought you were talking about, like, essentially, like, Rebels Reloaded, like...
No. Like the broad picture.
Okay.
Like the grand scheme picture, right?
Yeah, I totally don't understand what's going on with the High Republic, because it's like they announced that, and then there's, like, rumors of Rebels coming back, and then... fucking Ahsoka is now going to be a live action character, but then
There's
it's also
casting
rumored that
announced
she's
there.
only going to be in one episode of that, and maybe she's getting her own show, and then we got like this whole Obi-Wan Kenobi conundrum.
Right. It may or may not be filming at the moment. I
Right.
mean, nothing is filming right now as of this recording. I don't think like period on Earth. Like nothing in Hollywood is filming right now.
Right.
Based on where we are at our time and current events.
What I'm afraid of with the High Republic
Uh-huh.
is something that we have seemed to be getting more often. With Galaxy's Edge, some people would say with the Rise of Skywalker, we are saying with Star Wars Resistance, where it's like they blast you with this, I got this great fucking idea, this is what's going, and you get pumped up, and then like it happens, and you're like, what about all the stuff that you told us was gonna happen? Like,
Right.
where's the fucking aliens walking around at Galaxy's Edge? In season 1, I was bitching like, where's the racing in this fucking Star Wars racing show that I felt was heavily
Like advertised as such.
heavily advertised at the beginning. Like, there's gonna be fucking races and this shit's gonna be cool. And then season 2, like
flying,
it's
so much
leading up to
flying.
it's
Yeah.
leading up to the Rise of Skywalker. Like, this shit's gonna blow your fucking mind. And like it happens, and then I'm like, that's it?
Like, yeah. Yeah. I get, so that was my very, very long, very overdrawn contextualization of like why I'm not soured on what's coming in the future per se, but I'm going to be very cautious. Right?
Okay.
Like,
I'm always hopeful. I'm always optimistic. I'm always happy to see what's next.
yeah, I'm always excited, but I mean, I think it's a combo of being kind of worn out, and I have time. It's not like I don't have time. I've been home nonstop for the last literally 4 weeks. You know, California kind of went earliest
Yep.
into self-isolation protocols, right? I've only watched episode 1 of Clone Wars of season 7. You know, it's not for lack of time. You know.
Yeah.
So it's and I've not heard anything bad about it, right? But as the big like as a huge Star Wars fan, I don't know why I'm not on top of that one, you know?
I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it much, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it's because it is a still current thing that also has this nostalgia from, seasons 1 through 6 that people are just waiting until the end of it. I mean, it's only
I don't
12
know.
weeks. It's like 3 months, and
Well,
it's
because
like extended.
but Mandalorian like memes were being made as soon as that first episode dropped, man. Like that weekend, like Baby Yoda memes were all over the place, and that shit was
Yeah.
sustained for the run of that series. For that
I
season.
mean, you should probably watch episode 2 of Clone Wars season 7, where you can see Grandbaby Yoda. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, so
It's weird.
and Disney Plus has 50 million subscribers,
Yeah,
So
it's very true.
It has the base. It's so I agree. It's weird that like Mando did get this sort of high tier attention,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I will review this separately, but
Yeah.
we're kind of in this realm of like currently looking at Star Wars from a very top down perspective and where Resistance somehow fits into all of this. But I don't know, man.
It's a series of stories within the Star Wars universe that do not affect the greater whole.
But do you think it's a?
I think Clone Wars has an effect on the greater whole.
I agree.
I think Rebels has an effect on the greater whole.
Definitely. Yeah.
The movies themselves obviously do. I think Mandalorian totally does. I think this one does not.
Do you okay? Not that we need to dissect this anymore, but do you think this is like a Lucasfilm direction where this went wrong? Which is weird because like a lot of the episodes had like Curie Hart's name attached to them. Or do you think this was like a Disney Channel directive that kind of like pushed them like into this weird direction?
For Resistance?
For Star Wars Resistance, yeah. Like looking at Resistance specifically.
I really feel like there was an idea here that started and somebody didn't follow it all the way through and things got changed, probably shortened up some. Like, I feel like this was probably proposed as a minimum like 3-season thing.
Right.
Here's what we're doing in season 1. Like, the Colossus gets out. Season 2, we're going to be on the run. Season 3, we're going to rectify everything. And we're going to lead up to, I'm using air quotes, lead up to the Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
And I think somewhere along the line, I won't say somebody dropped the ball or anything like that, but somewhere along the line, plans changed. And I don't feel like there was probably as much creative focus put into finishing the idea, even though maybe the escape, or I'm sorry, yeah, right, the escape,
Yeah. The season finale.
The season finale, maybe that was the intent for the end. Maybe there was no ending that was come up with, and it just feels like things changed from the beginning to the end. Because like even the way that season 1 was hyped and talked about, and season 2 was just kind of like, hey, season 2 is happening, but check out the fucking Mandalorian.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
That's my overall feeling of this thing.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. I think we have talked this enough. Yeah. Unless there's anything else burning. I'm sure we'll think of something as soon as we stop recording, but
yeah, it'll happen.
But the battle droids, man, why weren't the battle droids used? That's what we forgot from last week.
Hashtag where's the battle droids?
Where are the freaking battle droids? All right. Do you want to give our shout outs?
Yeah, I would do that by saying head over to notthenerds.com. You can find our social media links there. You can find, I believe, playlist of our YouTube videos. We got 3 people behind the scenes. Speaking of our website, that was designed by @BlueTheBeard on Twitter. Our intro-outro music is Lindsay over at strangefantasymusic@gmail.com. And then our hero pose or
Our
whatever.
cover art.
Or cover
I call
art.
it cover art, yeah.
Yeah. That's Kevin at They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter. So
Yeah. But wherever you're listening to this, give us a like or subscribe, please. Comment. We do like reading the comments for sure. Kevin here is pretty good at keeping up on comments, actually, better than I am for sure. But, Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this,
Yep.
like and subscribe. So, but until next time, where I think we'll be returning to Clone Wars after this, maybe.
Yeah, we should be getting back to the Clone Wars. It's been a minute, so we were kind of in the middle of a little bit of an arc there. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of review before we can hop back into that. But
I have no idea where we are on that show. So
Resistance was fun to talk about with you, but I'm looking forward to getting back to the Clone Wars
for sure.
I'm a little more excited about that. So
until then, I've been Lorenzo.
I've been Kevin.
These aren't the nerds you're looking for.
Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.